step. I take a look at my right and realize what's nothing left. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. He be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying in chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. As they quote, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Boom, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Cause I've been blasting and laughing so long that even my mama thinks that my mind is gone. But I ain't never crossed a man that didn't deserve it. He be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying in chalk. I really hate the trip, but I gotta know. As they quote, I see myself in the pistol smoke. Boom, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light.
Race fans, good evening and welcome to Redline Racing Network. Mother Nature was not going to keep us from getting you all the high-flying, high-octane racing action as the Sunday night SNN Cup Series. The stars are here in the Sid City out in the desert, and it is going to be a hot one. I apologize for the late start this evening. We had storms roll through here about an hour before the race kicked off. We lost the internet. It came back up. Another wave of storms came through and completely wiped us off the face of the earth as far as the internet is concerned. That is now restored, and here we are as we are going to get this end of this great race here tonight. I want to thank you all for being here for the ride. Matt Metler up at the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, as always, and out on the racetrack. It has been a hot fast and furious one. Exactly what you can expect from these boys here in the SNN Cup Series. Before we send it officially to race coverage, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's race information. Sunday Night NASCAR, of course, we're going all the way. 267 laps, no fast repairs. Keep it lean, mean, and green out there on the racetrack, or as much as possible. 69 degrees ambient air temperature, still cool for this time of the year out there in Las Vegas. 19% water drain. Not much humidity to speak of. Partly cloudy skies. Winds, it's going to be a gusty one. Winds currently 13 miles an hour out of the west. Could be gusting 19 to 20, and that will absolutely have aerodynamic impacts on those next-gen race cars. Track length officially clocks in at 1.52 miles. Track temperature under the century mark, 94 degrees. However, this place is advertised as a cookie-cutter 1.5-mile oval. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Send it up to the point. You guessed it, from Beast Mode Performance. It's the Biscuit, Chris Davis. Currently up 17 positions from where he started. He currently has the lead right now in about a 1-second advantage over the man that has been on a hot streak and outside of SNN. Last week, this guy punched his ticket into victory lane. Then on Friday night, another open set league. He won a race at this very same racetrack. Did not get the pole, but he started inside of the top three. Dylan Banks looking to go back-to-back here in the SNN Cup Series. However, he's going to have to contend with Beast Mode Performance as Chris Davis currently carries the torch and shines the way here. Also, cannot discount Jeremy Miller. Is Miller time back in the SNN Cup Series? His debut last week did not go according to plan. However, Miller started P3. Currently owns that third and final podium position. The last person you want to catch a hot streak or get that confidence back is the driver of this 30 car. He will melt your hopes and dreams if you allow him to get inside your head, especially when you're strapped into that race car. Miller is looking like the Miller time of old as he currently rounds out your top three drivers. Matty Cox currently in that fourth place position. How about Paul Hill, Denslayer man, up 4 spots in seventh. Other honorable mentions, Diogo Rodriguez also inside the top 10 in that 9th place position. Another driver making his debut here on the SNN side of things. May be due to the series, but not new to iRacing. And that's going to be Shane P. Davis, who has had a heck of a race thus far. He has led laps tonight. And Tony, man, I hope you are watching from up above, because that Camaro right there, I know the paint scheme's a little different, but that one there resonated with you. You used to love that scheme on his car when we used to call his races over at the Moonshiners Racing League. And here it is tonight in SNN. Very fitting. He goes out here on the racetrack and leading with a race car that I know you fell in love with, and it is great to see this race car out on the racetrack again. As Shane Davis is going to restart in that 4th place position. Dylan Banks going to start here. P1. Just pardon me for a moment here, folks. Just every time I talk about racing and Tony, it's always tough. Miss that guy tremendously. And seeing that race car out on the racetrack being piloted by Shane Davis just brings back a lot of memories. As he's going to restart there in that 4th place position. Field now getting re-racked, restacked. Lights go out on that iRacing.com pace car, which means we're getting back to the boogie this time by. Right now it's the calm before the storm, like being in the eye of a Category 5 hurricane. All is calm, not for long, as these glorious V8s will come roaring back to life here momentarily. Want to thank all of you for joining us tonight in the YouTube.com live chat. Thanks for shouting us out. We appreciate it. Amanda Price is always saying, let's go, Sean, Rockin' Rogers, or Rogers, excuse me. Go 0-1. Appreciate you. Sound off. Let us know who you're rooting for. We'll shout you out and get your favorite driver some additional screen time as well here this evening. We now wait that pace car to pull off down pit road. There he goes. Here we go. Into the Geico restart zone. Dylan Banks is going to have the button, and he's going to punch it through the floorboards and up the sequential gearbox. And look at him shoot out of a cannon trying to catch the field on a snoozer. What a restart by Dylan Banks as it's 2x2. Fast and Furious behind him. Chris Davis going to go to the high side of the racetrack. He has beast mode help on the top shelf, but it's Jeremy Miller vibing right now on that restart, and he's going to clear the mayhem. It's going to be a 3-car breakaway single file with Matty Cox in that 32 machine hot on his tail. Back up to speed here at Las Vegas. Chris Davis, Shane Davis, that trio is back out on the racetrack together. Diego Rodriguez, who had a scare just a few laps ago before we kicked into coverage, currently in that 9th place position. And Sean Anderson, how about him? Up 25 positions as that caution flag comes back out once again. Getting a report here that Jeff Carson may have been involved. Let's go ahead and cue up the replay and see what happened here to the 9 ride of Jeff Carson. It's going to be that black Toyota up near the top of the fence. Let's go ahead and roll it. Oh my goodness. That typically you don't see. The way that car just hit the wall and made a beeline right down towards the inside safer barrier. Did something break in his car? Let's go ahead and wind this back. We're going to bring it back a little further to see if there was something that happened. Oh, there it is. Okay. Wow. Timing and scoring out to lunch on this one, as this happened way before it indicated to us up here in the booth. So let's stop this right here. Send it up to the eye in the sky, folks. See what the chopper cam picked up. See Davis here, or excuse me, Carson here in the middle. It's not okay to three-way at Las Vegas. Well, at least not most of the time. So he's the filling in the Oreo sandwich right here. And this is not a good spot to be in. As it gets close quarters, you're going to have to get skinny. This, of course, throwing a lot of dirty, turbulent air on his race car. Other cars around him. It settles down here for a moment, and I think something's going to happen to pop off in front of him here. We send down and go on board with it. Oh, you hate to see that. Let's back this up again. It looks like this is going to be a byproduct, as I was hinting at just moments ago, if three-wide racing gone wrong. Or is it 29 going to take a shot in the business end here? Oh, yep, that's exactly what happened. The 29 got snookered. Davis is going to have nowhere to go. Carson gets sent up into the fence. Then he gets nerfed from the 29 as he's holding on for dear life. As Marty goes chasing that race car down the track. And you can see that spindle, or that hub, is not rotating on the front of his race car. And he is holding on pretty much for the ride right now. The 57 is going to try to squeeze by, cannot clear until he makes contact with the 9. However, that was minor. And this is just Las Vegas doing Las Vegas things right here, folks. And then after that, due to the loss of steering, now we know why he came down the racetrack in that odd manner. Heartbreak for Jeff Carson, who was having himself a pretty decent run here until that incident on the racetrack, as we cycle back to the live side of things. Banks looking to pocket another one here and go 2 for 2 against some of the best racers in iRacing. What a storyline that would be. if Dylan Banks could go for 2 in a row. However, Jeremy Miller is back, and he's looking like the Miller time of old. Going to restart second on that outside lane. And you have beast modes, Matt Cox. Then you have the Dead Slayer, man, and Shane Davis. Chris Davis biscuit right there as well. Green flag in the air. Dylan Banks is going to try to leave him in the weeds again to third. He gets a much better restart, though, this time. Big time move there from Paul Hale to get down to the bottom. That's going to leave Shane Davis, first car in line, on the top shelf of the racetrack, working that second lane. Rumbling down the backstretch as he hauls it off into the turns 3 and 4 complex. It's Dylan Banks, Jeremy Miller, Paul Hill, Matty Cox, and Shane Davis that round out your top 5. Davis' first cars 2x2, side by side, smothered and covered just like your Waffle House hash browns. And it is getting intense, close quarters action out there on the racetrack. Look at them fanning out behind them, looking like the Blue Angels in the sky. Almost 3 wide there around Chris Davis. John Wilco, now your biggest mover of the race, who is just outside the top 10. The Pennsylvania boys doing a great job here as well in that 11th place position, up 27 spots to the good. Wilco's been turning it on here lately as well. 3 wide once again for another beast mode driver. Tony right where he did not want to be. He made sure he got out of there quick. And how about Kavaja Holt in that 0-0? Phenomenal race he put together last week, and here he is again, knocking on the back door of the top 10. Driver that typically always has speed, just trouble often seems to find him. And last week, he seemed to have shook that bug and was able to come across the start-finish line with an excellent end result. And he's trying to back it up here again today. The biggest question I have is who's going to roll the dice, shake it up, and go full-blown Las Vegas mode to win this race here. Sean Anderson now in the 76 machine. He's going to clear the 70. And cycle back to the lead. Sean Anderson, folks, this guy isn't up 3, not 13, not 24, up 34 positions. Hello, Sean Anderson, I see you. You have my attention. Let's jump on board with the 76. See how he's attacking this place right now. You got to hold a pretty wheel, and that's exactly what Anderson is doing right now. The key to prolonging these tires, these Dr. Feelgoods, the least amount of wheel input as possible. That'll certainly help you extend the life of those front tires, especially that right front. Very minimal steering wheel input here. Look how smooth he is on with those inputs right now. And then listen to the discipline on the throttle control. As he gets down there to about 8,500 RPMs. Now back on the loud pedal. He is pedal to the metal right here before he's going to lift as he bangs it off the chip in 4th gear. Last time by, he ran a 30-10. Which was the fastest lap out there on the racetrack as well. Fast lap of the race also going to go to the 76, clocking in at a 29.61. So a sub 30-second lap time. That is a blistering pace here at Las Vegas. As we switch the camera around, You can see he has opened up about 6/10, now approaching 7/10 of a second over the rest of the field right now, as Sean Anderson pulling away from Dylan Banks and company. Banks, however, under siege now from Miller time, as the 30 is vibing here at Sin City. 23-year-old iRacer from the beautiful state of North Carolina, first in flight. Jeremy Miller, longtime veteran of this series. I know at the age of 23, you're probably saying to yourself, how is that possible? But I can assure you he is well known and well respected here in SNN. Remember when he used to pretty sure drove a Toyota out there at one point. Now also had Waco setups underneath that race car at one point. Now you can see he is decked out in Premier setup, or their setup shop, I should say, and a Chevrolet bow tie on the race car. Oh, his bags got loose. Paul Hill is trying to dial up the excitometer inside the cockpit of the 70. He's trying to be like the Intimidator of old. Going to try to get some mojo going on the high side of the racetrack. He's going to get a big run. He comes down and puts the bumper to the 70. You can utilize the draft here to a certain extent, as the 6 and the 50 are now side by side. That's exactly what Dylan Banks wants to see. It is all-out trench warfare here at the front of this for the lead right now. Tell you what, these next-gen race cars put on a show on these 1.5-mile tracks, and they're doing it right here on the sim as well. As the 50 is going to try to Bon Jovi it, living on a prayer style on the high side of the racetrack, and he's going to clear. Banks, new leader, check the box. Actually, excuse me. I got so focused on that battle, I forgot Sean Anderson's way up here. So that was the change for position for second place. And that's Jalen. I believe another newer up-and-coming star here in the SNN Cup Series. Having a great run here as well tonight. .190 laps on the board. Let's go ahead and take you through the field. Let's jump on board with these drivers as well. Talking about them just moments ago, your biggest mover of the race coming from the rear with the gear. Sean Anderson up 34 positions, currently leads right now. We just spoke about P2, so we're going to jump to Dylan Banks, trying to go 2 in a row here in the SNN Cup Series. Currently rounds out the podium. Shane Davis from West Plains, Tony Trapasso's favorite driver, and currently out there on the racetrack with one of his favorite paint schemes, making his first appearance here in SNN, has led laps earlier. What a drive, what a performance in his debut for Shane Davis. Well, Paul Hill, the Dead Slayer man, rounds out your top 5. Jeremy Miller time, he's back too as well tonight, currently holds on to 6. Well, the Biscuit, Chris Davis, entrenches himself in 7th. Friendly help behind him in the form of Matt Cox. That's your top 9. Tony Meyering and Diego Rodriguez. That's going to round out your top 10. Kavaja Holt currently runs in an 11th place position. While the master of chaos, Hodison, won on the road course not that long ago. Currently in 12th, up 24 positions. While Richard Pruitt, Eric Papineau, and Don Miller round out your top 15. Keith Long out of Joe Gibbs Performance, Gettysburg, Maryland, in that 16th position, while another Pennsylvania boy, and John Wilco, in the 62 machine from McAdoo, Pennsylvania, as Dave Regal used to say. Currently in 17th, 18th, belongs to Brian Newmaker. Well, the head cook, chief, and bottle washer, Chris Claude, rounds out your top 19. Steve Herring, Tanner Marty is always in the 29 ride, Larry Miles, and Logan Giesbrick, who joined me up in the broadcast booth last week. Want to thank him for his help out of Ontario, Canada. Rounds out your top 23. Michael Witt, Andrew Deemer, Tyler Hunter, and Matt Gaskins round out your top 28 drivers. Chad Sander currently runs in that 29th position. Dalton Mobley in 30th. Jeff Carson, who had problems just moments ago, currently off the racetrack. This is going to be a similar case for the rest of these drivers from here on out who are one or multiple laps down. Ryan Samuelson, Matt Mackin, Rob Besaw, Ron Fitting, Sean Rockin' Rogers has not had a friendly visit here from Las Vegas. Bennett Allen and Brian Tarnowski have all put it on the hauler as we send it back up to the front. Sean Anderson continues to lead and hold off a hard-charging Dylan Banks in that second-place position, newcomer. Jalen Hankkamp runs in that third-place position. And then you have Davis, the Shane version, and Jeremy Miller rounding out your top 5. We're going to keep it here a little bit longer while this battle is getting good in the neighborhood. And as soon as it dies down, we have to cut coverage. We have to take care of our partners. We'll get that out of the way as soon as we possibly can so we can go all-out coverage all the way to the checkered flag. Here comes Davis knocking on the back door. Check this out. Shane Davis says, I haven't been here before. I don't care. I'm going to do what I know how to do, and that's go out there and win races. And he's going to thread her and slipstream between himself and the 30 as he now has the 50 in his sights. Look at that Camaro turned down to the bottom of the racetrack. That is impressive. Side by side, John Force special as they drag race across the start-finish line. It is a heater between two Chevrolets into turn 1. Oh, they're going to make touch. Shane got tight. They balked once. They high-fived twice. Jeremy Miller is probably madder. Well, we're not going to say that. Miller is probably not liking where he is right now, especially when you got two cars bagging off of each other right in front of you. The 79 got tight. He went up the racetrack. Great job by the 50. And Shane as well for trying to get off of him or making that contact as subtle as possible. .29 off the pace. He's going to take it up to the high side of the racetrack. Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies. Oh! That was almost disastrous. Take a moment here to catch your breath if you're any one of those drivers inside the top 5 right now. And again, just catching the lap traffic at the wrong time. Had a lot of speed there, and evasive maneuvers had to be deployed, as that was a couple of shades from getting ugly there. 200 laps currently on the board. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside, pay some wheels, and we'll be back with nonstop continuous coverage all the way through the checkered flag, driver interviews, and more right here on Redline Racing Network. Stick around. Don't go anywhere.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual.
Race fans, good evening. Welcome back to Las Vegas. Cutting hard back in on a commercial break is green flag back in the air here at Sid City, and we're back to the high-flying, high-octane racing action. Good evening. Welcome, everybody, here to Redline Racing Network. Matt Metler up at the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth as we are back to it out here on the racetrack. And it is starting to get hot, fast, and furious as that trench warfare continues to dial up and increase as we get closer and closer to the finish of this race. Now getting deep into this one, stage 3 currently underway. Scheduled distance tonight, 267 laps, or a 100%er. These drivers going all the way, just like they do each and every Sunday night here in prime time. Sean Anderson started deep in the woods. I mean, he might as well start in the next county over, or you know what? Other side of the state, California, for that matter, as I'm in Florida, up 33 positions. And now Jeremy Miller is going to hit the afterburner, keep his foot in it, and he is going to blow the doors off the 76 as Jeremy Miller time now leads here at Las Vegas. He's got Paul Hill and Dylan Banks behind him. There, your top 3. And just behind the 70, it gets really dicey. That's the Hornet's Nest right now for that 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th place position. Whoa, get skinny, boys. The 0-1 almost got tight and slid up into that car in the outside lane. However, able to catch it just before that contact is made. 2 by 2, side by side, they rumble, almost 3 wide. The 71 there, Keith Long, he is going to take that momentum way up high to the top shelf of the racetrack, right at the top of the fishbowl. Just doesn't have enough juice to mojo by that Mustang on the bottom lane, but he's going to keep in it to win it, or at least that position anyhow. For the first time tonight, we're going to go crank it up, or all-out coverage. Go ahead, grab that dial, turn it right up with us right here on Redline Racing Network. Let's send it. Redline Racing Network. Want to thank Premier Racing Setups, also Team Watson Racing Setups, our official setup partner here on the channel, for bringing us the sights and sounds of that extended Crank It Up session right here on Redline Racing Network. John Wilco, the McAdoo man out of Pennsylvania, leads here at the lap 215 mark. He's got a mirror full of Jeremy Miller, who's looking like the thriller of old in second place. Keith Long, Kane Hodison, and Brian Newmaker round out your top five. And joining me up here in the broadcast booth, he said he has never officially broadcasted a race in his life. You know him as this year's Daytona 500 winner, a mainstay of beast mode performance. Sean Rogers, welcome to the booth.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Happy to be up here. Give this a whirl.
Hey, I appreciate you wanting to give this a shot. I happened to see you sitting there in the Discord, and I'm like, you know what? This race didn't probably go as well as he had hoped. I wonder if he would be up. And sometimes, Sean, you never know unless you ask, and I am glad that I did. Oh, as John Wilco just had a big-time scare. Rogers, I don't know if you saw that, but he was pointed every which way you would want him to be, as that was a masterful save out of the 62. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, and you can tell who out here is trying to save fuel and tires, and who's out there just letting it rip. And it looks like both of our two cars up front are throwing caution to the wind and just letting it rip and trying to get the track position.
Well, Sean, you know what? You're really a mastermind when it comes to this game. You know, as a driver, how do you decide when it's time to go or it's better to save? I know we're getting later into this race, but you know, if I open Pandora's box or, you know, look for some insight from you, how do you make that decision out there on the racetrack?
It's all situational. You know, when these guys just had this latest caution, there's about, 62-ish laps, which is right around the fuel window. So, you know, I definitely agree with the guys that I heard some guys clutching earlier and really laying out of it just to make sure you save some fuel for the end.
That's right, save some fuel for the end. You have to have enough go fast in the tank to get across the start-finish line. You know, obviously this season kicked off with a big-time bang for you with that thrilling win at Daytona. I mean, you had some serious speed in that race car, and in fact, all the Beast Mode guys seem to have speed every time you offload here in the SNN Cup Series. However, it's racing, it's Las Vegas. Sometimes they can be nice to you, other times Las Vegas will make you pay. And unfortunately, not the end result you were looking for, despite the excellent speed you had under the hood. What went wrong out there on the racetrack for you tonight out there in competition? It looks like you're going to come home in that 36th place position.
Yeah, just got caught up in a wreck around lap 40. Yeah, I definitely had a good car, so I was really hoping to race this one out. I also got wrecked early at Phoenix, so I must have used all my luck there at Daytona, but it looks like we have a caution here on the track.
Yes, absolutely. I did not want to cut you off there, as we'll come back to that. We're going to shift gears now to the instant replay side of things. And Jeremy, I am sorry if I invoked the broadcaster's curse on you. I was just pumping him up moments ago, and it looks like he is going to be center stage here on the replay. Let's go ahead and roll playback. Keep your eyes on that 30 car. Chris Davis, I believe this is his first time in competition here in the SNN Cup Series. They're going to high-five each other. And, oh, my, Miller at the wrong place, the right time. He's going to come back down the racetrack and turn Davis directly into the fence.
Yeah, it looks like Shane was expecting him to be up a little closer to the wall there, and just made some contact, and it didn't work out.
I'll say it didn't work out. I'm scraping my jaw off the floor. Yeah, Sean, we're going to take another look at this, and I know you per se can't see the replay that I'm showing right now, as there's a sizable delay on the YouTube side of things. And I don't know if you have the ability to, but if you do, if we go ahead and back this up, we're going to go old school VHS mode, just use the rewind button here. And I'm going to bring this back to coming into the corner, the previous corner, I should say. And this was a close battle between the 45 to 30 and 79. So typical, just dogfighting. Getting later in this race, and Shane Davis is going to get a run here, and he's going to turn it down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yep, getting caught up here on the broadcast.
that is an unfortunate set of circumstances. I mean, you got to take these runs when you got them this late in the race. And we're going to go on board here with Shane Davis here for the replay. The final look, I should say. So we're now on board with, actually, come on, work with me here. Because for some reason, typing and scoring thinks the 30 is the 12, and that's not the case. We roll playback. And it just looks like the 30 didn't feel the 79 there, came down. And once they made contact, unfortunately, pinball mode is those cars bang off of each other. Shane Davis helplessly along for the ride as he gets sent almost head on directly into the wall. Then goes Nitro Circus mode up and over. And Jeremy Miller, another guy that was having a great run, his night seems to have come to a close as well. Two drivers that were really mixing it up here at the front, shockingly now perhaps out of this race.
Yeah, that's hard racing at the front. Being out there racing with those guys, it definitely was, elbows out racing, at least in the first only 40 laps that I ran. But, yeah, not surprising to see something, that's going to happen when you're racing hard.
As always, byproduct of hard racing late in this race. That caution there, does that throw a monkey wrench in anyone's strategy, or is it still the game plan as usual?
Oh, no, everybody came down in pit now. Everybody's for sure set on fuel. Now it's just a matter of saving tire. I don't know if we're done wrecking, just by watching how this race has played out. So you might see some guys really pushing their tires to get some track position and hoping for that caution to kind of bail them out.
Exactly. All these drivers down pit road on lap 222, at least everyone inside of the top 19. Keith Long now is going to have the trigger here out of the beautiful state of Maryland, and outside of him, I mean, there's another Sean Anderson also in the field. You're rocking Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Well, we know who you are, but how about this Sean Anderson? Started deep in the woods on this one, 33 positions gained out there on the racetrack. Drives a Chevrolet. What are you seeing out of this guy that you like?
Yeah, he's got a lot of speed. I've been seeing him come up through the field. I'd like to see him maybe calm down a little bit early in the runs because he has been falling off pretty quick. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him shoot, stay on this high side, get out front, get a sizable lead, and then watch the pack kind of rubber band back to him.
Absolutely, and a lot of that could be nerves, especially. I haven't seen him out there in competition a lot, and I know what it's like, being in a new series, trying to make a statement for yourself, and sometimes you just got to get settled in, but nonetheless, he does have some speed in his ride. It's 2x2, side by side, and how about this kid, Dylan Banks, out of North Carolina, last week's winner, and he's trying to go back-to-back here on the SNN side of things, and just as I say that, the 50 has other plans. He's going to put it to the floorboard and try to leapfrog him on the high side of the racetrack. Now here comes the 76, just like you were saying, Sean.
Yep, absolutely. You see him, here under Dylan Banks, and what is that, Handcamp, I believe, taking the lead.
Jalen Handcamp in the 50. These Chevrolets all seem to have some serious speed in their race cars on the short run and over the long run as well. A lot of bow tie presence being felt at the front of this field as now he's going to take the reins and carry the torch 2x2, side by side behind him. The 76 going up against the 70. And then one of your drivers just behind him in the 01. Quietly and silently having a phenomenal performance, a great run thus far, currently in fourth.
Yeah, definitely. He's shown a lot of speed throughout this entire race.
Ooh.
Close. Definitely showed a lot of speed. All of us at BNP have had a lot of speed. I don't want to be too biased on the broadcast, but yeah, we definitely came with some good cars this week.
As you guys often do, and you're starting to see how this broadcaster's curse thing works. I mentioned or affiliate. You actually spoke the words and almost KO'd your own guy. It happens.
Yeah, no, that would be definitely not what we want.
No, that's why we're getting the camera off of him. But you can see that it can happen. It affects all of us up here in the broadcast booth. Just ask Dave Regal, Tony Trapasso, of course, who I spent a lot of time with up here in the booth. And man, do I miss that man. But I'll tell you
Yeah,
what,
absolutely.
when you have a
I remember listening to the broadcast back every week. All of us drivers usually watch him, so it was definitely miss hearing him up there with you.
we all do, and I'll tell you what, Shane Davis driving his favorite paint scheme. It's too bad it's not out there on the racetrack at the moment. But Tony used to love that paint scheme. He called it Miami Vice, and he talked about it all the time. And how fitting he has that on the car in his first start here, I believe debut here in the Sunday Night League. However, that great performance he had, led a lot of laps, looks very promising for one of your drivers as well in the future, as it's all Jalen in the 50, getting it done right now, but Sean Anderson is staying hot on his trail. He is not letting him get away.
Nope, and that draft too down the straights is definitely going to keep Sean, right behind that 50 car. The only way to really pass around here is to get around the top. So I would look for the 76 to try to sneak it above the 50 here in the coming laps.
Right, it seems the top shelf of the racetrack is going to be good for the fast lap, but what type of premium do you pay in the tire department should you push the issue up on the high side of the racetrack?
Yeah, it's definitely going to put a lot of heat in your tires. You can kind of calm them down after you make the pass and just get back down to the bottom. But if you stay up there, you'll definitely pay price.
That's how it was in a couple of the fixed races I ran. You could certainly make some time on the high side of the racetrack, but if you abused it a little too bit, you paid for it in that right rear department, and it was ugly holding onto the race car after that.
Yeah, but at this point in the race, these guys might not really care too much, as this is go time. So we'll see what happens.
It is go time. 233 laps now officially written in the history books. How about Keith Long having a strong run and up 22 position, has now cracked the top 3. I believe this is...
Keith,
go ahead.
I was going to say, Keith, another one of those drivers sticking it on the high side, trying to get that track position, trying to get in front of some cars and hope for that late caution.
Speaking of that late caution, on the broadcast side of things, we hope we see it because, hey, that's going to increase the intensity out there on the racetrack. Some of these drivers, the last thing they want to see is a caution as Keith Long almost turns the 76. I don't know how that may have been some net code there, as the 76 really didn't seem to respond to that, or at least make a maneuver on the racetrack as if he made contact, but that's certainly how it looked up here from the broadcast booth. You talked about the highline of that racetrack, Sean. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the weather right now. Track temp is all the way down to 88 degrees, so it is cooled off significantly. The start of this race, at the drop of the green flag, it was right around the century mark, 100 degrees. So how much has this track changed since the temperature is now under 90 degrees?
Oh yeah, the cooler temp, there's going to be a lot more grip out there, and that's going to make it'll kind of limit how much running that high line is going to punish you. So while I was out there, it was definitely punishing. So it might not be as much for these guys now.
I'll tell you what, 3 wide once again here at the front. They are slicing and dicing. And now I'm starting to see why we're seeing these lines really start to fan out, and you can see these aggressive moves. And a lot of that's probably because, well, 2 things. We're getting down to the end of this thing. Is the 3 wide battle. Look at the dead slayer man, Paul Hill. He is trying to shoot the gap and put him on a Louisville slider. What a move by the 6. Did you see that? Incredible.
Yeah, Paul's definitely one of those drivers that can do pull-off moves like that.
Sean, if I tried to do that, I'd be doing a keg stand into the fence, and they'd be pulling my engine probably out of the infield somewhere.
Oh, I love making those kind of moves myself. I race around Paul. We always seem to be by each other, so definitely know he has the ability to do that. And yeah, he's another one of those guys that has a really good car tonight.
You bring up a great point. Having that in race time, that experience with another driver, and having that relationship of just knowing how he's going to race out there on the track, that certainly is very beneficial, not only to you, but the other drivers around you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Knowing, racing here for long enough, you kind of get to know how each driver races. And so you definitely got to, you're definitely thinking about that when you get next to somebody of, just drawing back on your previous experiences and how they've raced you.
Absolutely. That's a big part of it, especially for some of these new guys here in the SNN SNN Cup Series, I should say, and that's earning the respect of your peers. You know, I was always just terrified to go out and put a race car in this field because I did not want to be that guy. But plus, I just not on the same page as you guys. I still, quite frankly, am, but I'm fairly confident on the plate tracks, and I will be out there when we get there. But for right now, Jalen continues to dial it up in prime time with that Chevrolet Rocket at the point. Last time by, ran a 30.26. Best lap of the race, a 29.79. So you can already start to see the fall off of these Goodyear Eagles going from Dr. Feelgoods to Feel Bads. That track temp coming down will stop the bleeding or hemorrhaging in the tire department a little bit. However, as Sean was saying just moments ago, if you send it up there and run the top of the fishbowl and you keep your foot in it, once that right rear gets hot, it is going to be a handful. And as Dylan Banks now on the attack again, look at Tane Hodison. Door to door.
Tane, a guy we haven't really seen up here. He's kind of been laying in the weeds as I've been watching this race.
I'll tell you what, Tane has figured something out over this past month. I know he got his first win on a road course, but he's been slowly, as you just said, the silent assassin. He's been finding speed at these 1.5 miles, and here he is working on the outside of Paul Hill. Paul giving some assistance there, a little bit of a push to the 70, and there's that draft coming into play.
Yeah, definitely. They're pulling each other down the straights, and Paul has worked with Dylan quite a bit throughout this year, just being behind him. So it doesn't surprise me to see him kind of lend a helping hand. He's probably hoping that he can use the draft and get pulled by Tane and get up into that 4th spot.
That is the mission, is Tane Hodison, another driver, trying to go from the back to the front, up 32 positions. Someone got yeeted down to the apron of the racetrack. I believe that was the 5 ride of Eric Papineau, who went for a wild ride down to the flatlands, able to gather up that race car and bring it back up under the racing surface and keep moving forward. What a job by him. Is that race car should have, could have been destroyed.
Absolutely. That'll grab your attention for sure as a driver.
Nothing like those Code Brown or Code Everything moments on the racetrack. And if you're falling asleep a little bit, those moments will certainly wake you up and get your blood pumping again. As now Papineau side by side with one of your guys, Matt Cox, in that 10th place position. Still a John 4 special. They're going to keep this going. Now, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the longer you run side by side like this, you're not going to be able to run optimum lap times, and that's going to let the competition behind you close in, correct?
Absolutely, and you're also going to be, here looking at Cox, he's going to be losing that front main pack, so he definitely wants to try to get this pass done, as it looks like he did. Get this pass done and get back to catching up to the rest of the field.
As you're now on board with Matt Cox, looking out the GoPro bumper cab, pointing at the 2 Chevrolets, duking it out side by side behind him, as he was able to clear the 5, but Papineau may have other plans, and he's going to try to pull a Shifty McGee here. If he can't beat him on the low side, he's going to try on the high side. However, Cox has that one covered as he's playing both lanes of traffic here, keeping that 32 ahead of the 5. It is a 3-way battle now brewing for that 9th place position, as that side-by-side battling has allowed the 94 of Bad Chad Sander to come into the mix as well.
Yeah, and it looks like we got Papineau got a run on the high side, going in 3 wide. And it does not look like that the 5 was able to get by Matt Cox, and it looks like he holds on the position, but now he's on the outside lane, which is the preferred if you're trying to either defend or make a pass.
So inadvertently takes a 3-way situation, or a 3-wide situation, and makes it a positive out of it. And you know what, other thing I want to say is great job by those drivers, giving each other as much real estate as they could to work with there and keeping it straight. As we've seen a couple times this race where it's not been okay to 3-way, and caution is out on the racetrack.
Oh, hopefully I didn't do it to my boy Tane there.
Oh. Well, I'm going to say this. There is a possibility. I'm going to wait for the official update here on the black box side of things, but this caution, take everything we were talking about at home, folks, crumple it up, throw it out the window. This changes everything. Is now everyone's going to be racked, stacked, shuffled right on top of each other again, which is going to shape us up for a Friday night short track LCQ battle here to the finish at Las Vegas. So this is interesting. So regarding Tane Hodison, something went array on the racetrack. However, timing and scoring is not painting him as having an issue. So we're going to go ahead and just take a shot in the dark here. Take a look here at the 45 ride. Going to be on the high side of the racetrack. Going to have a race car underneath him. And from this look right here, I'm going to say it's not going to go well. I'm hoping for the best, though. Let's go ahead and cue playback here. And, Kavaja Holt is going to slide up into the back of the 45, and he's going to turn him. Now he's going to go flow rider right round as he has that car locked down. Now he's in the throttle. He's going to transition from the blacktop to the grass. Car does a good job of not taking flight. Front end almost picked up, not once but twice. And
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to have any damage. You don't. iRacing doesn't give out damage for the bumps like a real race car would. So I think he should be fine. He's going to lose all his track position, but everybody's getting tires, and these boys are really going to put on a show here at this last 15-lap shootout.
Absolutely. I mean, other than don't stain your ride, use Tide moment of the race, he may need some wet naps and scented candles when he's done, but that race car is A-OK, good to go. However, going to lose some precious track position there. And as you said, Sean, we were just pumping him up moments ago, and disaster almost struck, as that was a big-time moment there on the racetrack, a result, once again, of hard racing at the end of this thing. You're going to get tight when you're trying to get everything you can out of that race car, sending it into the bottom like that. That car started to slide up the racetrack. You could tell Kavaja tried to counter and keep that car from making contact. Unfortunately, it did. And what a job by Hodison getting up on the wheel there and making sure he would survive and live to keep on fighting in over the course of this race. So we now send it back to the live side of things here on Redline Racing Network. Look who's at the point of this, Sean Rogers. Did you see this one coming?
It looks like Diego, I'm guessing he didn't pit or took two. Either way, you got to be bold at the end of these races.
You have to be. And sometimes you got to roll the dice. Hey, we're at Las Vegas after,
Absolutely.
That's right. Domino's Pizza on that race car, on that Dark Horse Force Mustang. So you're going to have Ford on Chevrolet action on the front row. That's going to be Rodriguez and Handcamp. Then in row number 2, you're going to have the newcomer who's got some bad fast speed underneath the hood. That's going to be Sean Anderson and Dylan Banks, last week's winner. That's row number 2. Sean Anderson, Paul Hill are going to round out your top 5. And then don't look now. Then you have 2 more Beast Mode performance cars in that 6th and 7th place position. Is Diego Rodriguez is going to lead us back to the green flag. Wait on that iRacing.com pace car to pull down pit road. There he goes. Here we go. Field locked, ready to rock deep in this race. Look at all the bumping, trying to time it, and it does not go. There was a big checkup, but all the cars inside the top 5 seem to get away as we're back under green flag conditions. Look at the 70 trying to help the 50 get up to speed. It looks like tandem drafting here from the COT era, but it's not. We're at Las Vegas. Oh, this 21 gets loose. It's a 3-way affair going into 3 and 4. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Shaw, but you're right. You were saying those tires are beginning to show.
Yeah, definitely. They're showing. You see him dropping back. So it looks like maybe made a strategy, maybe a poor strategy decision, or he's out of tires. We had 8 sets to start this race, but there's been a lot of cautions, so you never know.
A lot of cautions, and hey, when you're going the distance, and sometimes in these track conditions, this surface is like a piece of sandpaper on those Goodyear Eagles. Oh, get skinny. The 50 has a problem. The 50 is off the pace. He is heading down pit road.
I did not see what happened to him on that, why he's going down pit road. Maybe he got on the wall or something?
I'm going to roll this back. I didn't see anything either that stood out. If it was a fuel mileage thing, you would have thought he would have came down. I mean, the caution was just out on the racetrack just moments ago. So let's engage the flux capacitor here. And for all intents and purposes, the 50 is out in front here. Up to speed. He's going to send it down on the bottom into 3 and 4. And then he's out of fuel.
I wonder if he maybe forgot to check the fuel when he took that last pit stop. That's unfortunate.
Let's jump on board here really quick with him and see if we're seeing any RPMs. He has RPMs on the dash. He is not out of fuel. I am not sure what went wrong, but clearly some type of a problem for the 50 as he's on pit road. As we send it now back up onto the racetrack, Sean, look who is currently in P1, baby.
Yeah, Tony just made a good move on the top to take the lead. Now it's just a matter of holding back these guys. As we know, Sean Anderson is not going to be afraid to get up on that top shelf. So look to see him do it. Oh, he tried it. And Matt Cox, who was just in that battle for 8th, that caution brings him back up. He's in the 4th position.
Never count out Matt Cox. I have learned from watching this guy. If he is out there in competition, he is never out of a race until that checkered flag flies. And here he is, the Magic Man, doing his thing once again up inside that 4th place position. Now it's Beast Mode who continues to carry the torch. Newcomer Sean Anderson, biggest mover of the race, in 2nd. And then Dylan Banks, the kid with the hot hand, your last week's winner, in that 3rd place position. Sean, realistically, with 11 laps to go, anyone right now inside the top 10 realistically has a shot of winning this race, as tight as this field is on top of one another right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And all idea of saving tires, everything is all out the window. It's just these boys are out here just letting it rip. So we're gonna see who has the fastest short run car. As you see, Dylan Banks looking down low.
Yeah, Banks is eating on the bottom, taking it all the way down, almost to the flatlands. He is walking that white line tight, and that's going to get him side by side, but the 76 able to carry the momentum and utilize the draft off the 1, the slingshot, or at least hold him dead even with the 70, and they're going to re-rack, do it all over again, get ready to drag race down the backstretch one more time as the 76 clears the 70.
Yeah, and if you're the 01 car, that's exactly what you want to see in your mirror. Have 2nd place focused on 3rd, so you can just kind of try to squirt away. And if you're in the 4th position kind of watching that, you also love to see that because you know they're going to be running slower lap times. You can get up there and throw your hat in the ring.
One of the worst mistakes you can make, and I found myself in this position, late in a race like this, Sean, and you're trying to play offense and defense at the same time, that never really works out good for me.
No, it doesn't always work out great for me either. As we see, we might have a lead change. Tony with the high lane may be able to beat him to the stripe, but we definitely got these guys are definitely not pulling any punches at this point. As we see Dylan Banks going 3 wide to take the lead.
Woo-hoo! How bad do you want it? Dylan Banks going big or going home. He says checkers or wreckers, I want to win or I'm going to land it with my car ready for the scrapyard type of move there. And he checked the box, Sean. It paid off. Now he's got the lead with just 7 laps to go. Not going to be able to breathe for a moment as he has hot on his 6. In fact, here we go. That Camaro almost got a big-time run from the push from Tony as he is right back there nipping at the heels of the 70 as he can take a peek to the inside here coming off the corner.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to pass on the inside, but not impossible. So I'm guessing Sean is not even lifting. These guys are flat out through these corners at this point in the race.
All these drivers are turning their fastest laps of the race. In fact, while you were talking, your buddy Payne Hodison just clicked off a hot one, the fastest lap of the race. He busted into the 29.50 bracket, a 29.50 for Payne Hodison just moments ago, as it's a side-by-side John Force special here once again between Ford and Chevrolet for the lead with just...
Oh, and we got Matt Cox. Looks like maybe he got into Dylan Banks there. And that looked like a rough wreck for Banks. That might be That might be a race ender. We'll see.
Caution on the racetrack, ladies and gentlemen. You are not going to believe this one. As the countdown to the checkered flag was on, as the battle was hot and furious at the front of this thing, two drivers that were going for it all. You remember just moments ago, Dylan Banks tried to get him on a 3-wide move that was dialed up from the heavens, was able to execute and pull it off. This one, however, is going to have a different end result. Caution's going to come out on the racetrack. Sean, this may invoke overtime here, depending on how long this takes to get this cleaned up and to get this field restored and restacked again.
Yeah, I believe it might be a natural green-white caution. Unfortunately, that's how they usually end. A green-white checker is what I meant to say. Or they'll just go ahead. I believe this league, we only do one green-white checkered.
That is correct. One green-white checkered. So Chris Claude and company is going to make every attempt to get this race finished under a natural state or at the 267 lap mark, if so is needed. To finish this race under green flag conditions, will pull out the wild card, will enable overtime mode. And if you guys don't know how overtime mode works, it works like this. We're going to re-rack, restack the field. We're going to take the green flag. When the green flag flies, if everyone successfully completes the lap, then Barney is going to display the white flag. We're going to race back around to the checkered flag. If there are no incidences on the racetrack, they will race back to the line. However, on that white flag lap, if there's an incident on the racetrack, some leagues will freeze it at that moment in time, and they will determine the winner at the moment that incident happens on that white flag lap. Other leagues will let them race all the way back to the line. This league, they can run all the way back to that checkered flag. However, if you get an incident before you see that white flag on that initial green flag lap, that means we would restack them or reset them again. However, with only one attempt in this league, you better get that overtime restart right. Otherwise, the field is going to be frozen the next time, and the next flag is going to end that race. That's a quick summary on how overtime works. As Sean Anderson now in the 76 is going to have his hands full with that dark horse Mustang from Beast Mode Performance on the outside. Matt Cox, Chris Davis, where did he come from? Now in fifth. Dylan Banks, who I thought his night may have been over, is now back there in that fifth place position, Sean.
Yeah, I went back and I watched that wreck. He's going to have some considerable damage on the right front of that car. I would expect it to be a little slower, but at this point, yeah, you just got to let her eat up there and just make what you can of it.
Like Cletus McFarland would say, you got to let her rip, tater chip. Only 3 laps to go in this one. You got to get all you can. And I can promise you this, folks, as those lights go out on this iRacing.com pace car, it is about to go next level on the racetrack. Sean Anderson.
It's very important to get a good start on these overtime restarts because this is your last chance. So,
being the last opportunity, let's join on board with your driver, Tony, in the 01 on the outside lane. Sean, what are you doing here trying to figure out what the leader is going to do on this restart? What can you do as a driver right here, right now in this situation?
You're just watching him. A lot of guys would go early, so I kind of try to plan it as he did. Looks like he went early. Got a good jump, and now it looks like Matt Cox is going to move into second place.
Matt Cox going to move into second place here with a sneaky restart there from Sean Anderson. A little bit of the mental chess match going on the racetrack. Chris Davis.
They're wrecking big.
Oh, my goodness. We have big-time explosion going off near the back of this field. Multiple cars. You can see the smoke from that view. This is going to be a big one. As my son thinks it's funny, I apologize if that's bleeding over into my microphone, folks. Steve Herring involved in this one. It looks like Rob Besaw as well. Bad Chad Sander in the 94. He's already on pit road.
And we're going to have 2 more shots at this.
And it looks like new year, new rules. We're going to have, as Sean just said, 2 more shots at this. I apologize for getting that wrong on the overtime count, but hey, Mr. Rogers, always reason to have him in the neighborhood. Thank you for catching us
I'm a
up.
driver, and I didn't even know that. So
Pleasure having you up here in the booth, man. A lot of fun having you up here. You know, a lot of times, you know, in my position, they're like, I don't want to ask that person. They might get mad. They might take offense. And I'm like, you never know unless you ask. Even if you would have said no, hey, at least I know I checked the box. I asked you. And if you say yes, even better. And Sean, thanks for taking the leap of faith and being up here with me, man. You are slaying it.
yeah, I've been having fun. It's a little different than I thought it would. Especially I can't see your screen. I believe when you guys normally do this, you can, correct?
If you have timing and scoring on your end, there's a way that I could sync everything that I'm seeing to what you're seeing at real time. That is correct.
Oh, gotcha. See, that's where I'm just getting messed up here. But other than that, man, yeah, I've enjoyed it. And these guys are putting on a good race, and we get a little bit of bonus action here tonight.
Hey, you're doing a great job on the iRacing manual controls in the user interface, and I've been trying to keep, you know, the camera focused in one section of the racetrack, so I'm not having you trying to chase me all over the racetrack. You are doing great, my friend. And if that last restart wasn't enough for you, Sean, now you have to sit here and you have to do this all over again. For guys like Sean Anderson, Matt Cox, when does this start to mentally become a problem for you as a driver when you get into this situation and trying to figure out how many restarts you have to actually win to win a race?
Yeah, it does. You know, it's definitely in the back of your mind. You're like, all right, well, I had a really good start that one, and you're already, you know, when you take the initial start, you're already making your plans for the move for the next 2 laps. Well, now the deck has been shuffled. It looks like Tony is going to be in the 3rd spot, and Cox is going to be on the outside. So I would much rather be in the 3rd spot if it were me, just because you can really get a good roll on the restart here.
Right, you have a little more leeway. You're not the control car in this situation, so there's ways you can, I don't want to say cheat, but you can manipulate what kind of happens out there with your restart to a certain degree. Obviously, if it's blatant and obvious, RC is going to step in, and they're going to, you know, kind of stomp you out, per se, and give you a penalty. But I do like the situation the 01 is in, being the first car or the second car in line. Right behind the front row here. Matt Cox is probably in the toughest position because he has to try and time this perfectly and guess when Sean Anderson is going to go.
Yeah, and if you're Sean Anderson, you got to mix up the restart. He went early last time. You got to play little mind games. Maybe go late, maybe go mid. But if you keep these guys are all good enough to where if you're just jumping right as soon as you get in the restart zone, they're gonna know that and they're gonna time that. So you definitely gotta mix it up if you're Anderson.
One thing I like to do if I'm in this position, I like to have a button clutch. As I'm coming into the restart zone, hold the clutch down and just floor it and don't go anywhere. And then I let off and then I go.
I would not like you in those kind of races.
Hey, you know, when you're not as good as you guys, every little advantage helps.
Yeah, we're shipping you in the fence if you do that.
Oh, I don't do that. I just wanted to rattle your cage a little bit, but here we go. Sean Anderson gonna have the button down in a.
Looks like it was delayed. I'm guessing somebody stopped on the track because they were waiting for an UL or some sort of penalty. So pace car is still out there. We get to let these guys sit there and you know, really stew on this next restart another lap.
Well, it's almost like the race is trending in the way we're discussing up here in the booth, as now we're really going to see what these restarts in the tax that pays on these drivers. And just as Sean was saying moments ago, this mental chess match, these race start games, now Sean's going to have to try and outfox, outsmart Matt Cox on the outside lane as well. And again, the frustration starts to build, the anxiety, the tension, the tightness in the chest. These always seem to sometimes be the longest moments of the race when you're stuck in an overtime situation, knowing that you had this race won. However, the caution destroys all your hopes and dreams right there in the moment. Then you have to restack, reset, do it all over again. And if that's not enough, you got to deal with Matt Cox in the outside lane, another beast mode car right behind you, and a driver that has really turned the mojo around here over the past couple weeks. Don't look now, but Kavaja Holt there as well. Going to take him down. Beautiful restart here. The 76 is going to try to get the jump, but Cox was ready for him. He's going to pull ahead of him, but Cox, now that door is open where he could slide in, or does he say to the high side of the racetrack? Cox is going to let her rip tater chip, sending it in there like a prayer Bon Jovi style on the high side, and look at this drag race coming off the corner.
Yep, and he's got the momentum on the high side. It looks like Tony is jumping in right behind him. Cox does have him cleared for the lead. As we're going to come around and we're going to see the white flag. That's all these guys want to see at this point.
How about this? Popsicle sticks come down. 1 to go for the Magic Man, Matt Cox. Mr. Where did he come from in this race? He found himself at the right place at the right time and grabbed a gear and a ton of faith and sent it to the moon on the high side of the racetrack. And he's going to clear. Now it's Tony in the 0-1, Sean Anderson, and Chris Davis trying to make it a 1-2-3 finish for Beast Mode Performance. Matt Cox coming off the final quarter. He can see Barty, the checkered flag in hand, and Matty Cox is going to go poof, be gone. I'm going to win this thing. Money in the bag. Matt Cox wins this race. Nobody circles the wagon like Beast Mode Performance. And Matt Cox. What's that, buddy?
Love to see that.
I told you. Sometimes bringing someone else up in the booth, it just does something for your team. I don't know if it boosts the morale. It happens. I don't have the words for it, but time and time again, we have seen this go down as Matt Cox is going to win here at Las Vegas. Tony in the 0-1 is going to come home second out of the beautiful state of Michigan. In the biscuit, Chris Davis out of Missouri, a state that was ravaged by severe weather less than 48 hours ago, is going to come home third. And Sean, congratulations. It's a 1-2-3 finish for Beast Mode Performance as Matt Cox burns the house down. And you may have not had the finish you wanted, but my God, did your guys step up and have your back out there on the racetrack. Congratulations on the 1-2-3 finish.
Yeah, and my broadcasting debut, the boys that came out and finished 1-2-3, I ain't mad at that. Even though my race wasn't great, good to see these guys having success.
Hey, absolutely. Sean, thank you so much for joining me up here in the booth. I just took a blind leap of faith. I said, you know what? Hey, Sean's just sitting there probably. He's in the hauler. Let's take a shot at this. And, man, you did awesome up here. Thank you so much for joining me and giving us your excellent feedback and sharing your perspective on things as you would attack it on the racetrack. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll go ahead and we'll cut you loose, or if you'd like, I can put you back in your team chat. And hopefully we get to do this again soon sometime.
You messaged me 30 seconds before I went live. I'm like, all right, let's
literally
give it a whirl. So I do appreciate you allowing me to do this, and as always, these podcasts. So I look forward to.
Sean, you were starting to trail off there just a little bit. I couldn't hear you, but I want to thank you so much for joining us up here in the booth. And again, folks, literally, man of my word, not overselling it. 30 seconds before I pulled him up here, I asked him, so you talk about a man making a blind faith decision there to come up here in the booth. It is not as easy as it looks. It is tough, and Sean absolutely crushed it, as I'm now going to put him back down with his team so he can celebrate. After all, 3 of his drivers, 1-2-3 finish just moments ago here. To put Sean Rogers down there in the rating room with his guys. Matt Cox, your winner here from Sin City. And since these drivers are all in the broadcast waiting room, forget switching to post-race coverage. We're just going to send it like Tony did out there, Matt Cox did out there on the racetrack. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, the driver I've coined the Magic Man, Matt Cox. Where did you come from, and welcome to Victory Lane, my friend?
Well, I reign from a little town called Bismarck, Illinois. No, the whole race is just a plan. Really just try and stay clean, stay patient the whole time, and then, when it's money time at Vegas, you got to cash the check. So
one thing I have noticed about you, Matt, you really seem to elevate when it's money time, when it's crunch time, when, the intensity is at the maximum level. That's, I don't know if this is by design, how you plan these races, or this is just where you excel, but you always find a way, more often times than not, to be here and be in it to win it when everything is on the line. Talk to me about that grudge match racing out there on the racetrack. That was an all-out, old-fashioned dogfight, and you came out on top. Walk me through those closing moments of the race.
Yeah, so, when we get to the end, we're looking at green-white checkers. The restart before, I knew I needed to get a good jump so I can clear car on the outside, and we did that. And then we got the quick caution, and then I knew I needed to get, the best restart of my life just to try to hang on his outside and pinch him into one. And we did that. So just really good execution. I'm not trying to toot my own horn too much, but, I did everything I needed to do there and came away with the win. So happy to have it. Happy to be locked in.
Absolutely. That's the other thing. Now you're locked in. You have a little bit of breathing room knowing that you can comfortably go throughout the course of this season, understanding and having that playoff ticket when that time comes. And I'm sure that may give you a little bit of leeway to try some things, to test some things, perhaps be innovative or aggressive with some setups. That way you have something maybe on the, not the cheat sheet, but the setup sheet for when you come back around to some of these places in that playoff time frame as well. You're going to have a little more liberty now as you have that victory in your back pocket. Talk to me about this final restart. Before you guys went back green, Sean and I were talking about the restart games, the mental chess match. In that restart there, you seem to almost have it timed perfectly. There was an opening where you could have got in line and gotten help from another beast mode driver, but you chose to keep it on the high side of the racetrack. Did you know you were going to have enough momentum to clear him coming off the corner if you kept it ramped up there?
Yeah, I knew that if I could get to his quarter panel going into one, I would pull alongside him, and then I just have to pinch his corner off, and I've got the preferred lane. So that was really all it was. Just try to get the best restart I could and get close enough to get to the right rear and pull him back a little bit and then drive away.
Well, Matt, I'll tell you what, you make it sound so easy, but being a driver myself, I know it's not as easy as it sounds, and that was brilliant execution on your part. Way to be clutch out there in those intense moments, and congratulations on punching your ticket here in victory lane. Before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 32? The floor is yours.
Yeah, just the usual. We talk about it all the time, but just all the guys we race with, all the beast mode guys working to make each other better every single week. Everybody's, that's all we really care about. We're just here to have fun, and if we could help each other out, that's what we do. So just those guys for sure.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, not afraid to roll the dice, go big, full-blown Las Vegas mode, high stakes engaged, and Matt Cox going to come away with the win here at Las Vegas. Thank you so much for your time, Matt, and I hope I speak with you again really soon.
Yep, we'll catch you later.
Yes, sir. Going to put you back down into the broadcast waiting room. That is your winner. And before all this the conspiracy theories start, I had Sean Rogers queued up to come up here in the booth on a 30, just a up 5 by the seat of my pants. I said, hey, you know what? He's out of the race. Let's see if he wants to come up here. So before the comments start in the Discord, this, that, and the other, I just want to get that out of the way now, as it's an all beast mode podium tonight. Moving on, going to pull up our second place finisher now. 0-1 machine had a great one. Why can't I not grab him, as I'm having a hard time dragging him up into the booth? Joining me now, your second place finisher tonight, Tony. Matt up top, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Tony, my God, what a drive from you, man. You must be vibing up right now.
My heart's still pumping.
You know what? That's the feeling I miss when I'm out there on the racetrack. When you're in a league like this, it's, I'm only going to make a couple starts in this league at Talladega and Daytona later on, but anytime I run in this league, I feel that tenseness in the chest. My blood pressure is elevated. And the one time I got a 7th place finish, I felt like I was going to blow through the ceiling. I had so much adrenaline, and that's got to be how you're feeling right now.
Oh boy, Matt. Out of the 5 races, the second one I finished. So, it's a hell of a race. I mean, like I said, with those 10 laps to go where I was leading, my heart was pumping. But luckily, there in the last restart, I had Matt and Chris by me, so it helped me feel a little better, kind of ease the nerves.
I knew things were probably tense for you down there on the racetrack. And my God, were you big when you needed to respond and put up some of the hardest fought laps probably here since in your time in the SNN Cup Series. What was it like leading up to that final restart? Walk me through it, and how were you able to clear the chaos and come home P number 2?
Well, coming into that last restart, I liked where I was being behind Sean Anderson there because I was going to go off of him. So once we took off and I seen Matt was getting clear and I was clear of, I believe it was Devaja above me, I just knew, yep, I got to push Matt right here. I got to get Matt up front, and then I'll race I'll race Sean to the last lap if I have to. And yep, luckily we raced really hard, nice and clean, good racing. But to have Chris there behind me pushed me through 1 and 2 to kind of clear the lane for me. I knew right there we sealed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And whoever says you got to wad up race cars to have good racing, that's not the case. These guys didn't wreck each other, and that was some of the best darn racing you will ever see on a Sunday night. I can guarantee you of that. Is Tony gave everything out there on the racetrack, coming home with his best finish in his SNN Cup Series career with a solid second place finish. Tony, before I cut you loose, I got to turn it over to you. Who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 0-1?
All the boys at Beast Mode, Chris, Sean, Matt. I mean, there's just a number of guys, Kenny, everybody, over there helps me out throughout the week to get in here, race, race hard, race clean. Got to give a shout out to my wife and my kids. They're here watching. That was fun. Everybody else I invited to watch the stream, I hope I put on a show for y'all.
You absolutely did, Tony. You drove a race to remember. It was a lot of fun up here on the broadcast side of things to watch you just do your thing down there on the racetrack. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, thankful for his family, friends, his buddies, his team, Kenny Capila as well. Head cook, chief, and bottle washer over there at Beast Mode Performance. He puts together some bad, fast race cars and finds phenomenal talent like Tony to pilot them out on the racetrack. He bags his best finish to date, looking to score that win in the upcoming future. Tony, thanks for joining me up top in the booth, bud.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Going to move him back down to the waiting room. And certainly last but not least, the biscuit is back. Chris Davis, how the heck are you, bud?
Man, I am doing great right now.
I even said moments ago, before the conspiracy theories start, I just had a thought, hey, let's grab Rogers and throw him up in the booth, and then, boom, here's a Beast Mode 1, 2, 3 finish. I just wanted to nip that in the butt. My God, Chris, did your team and yourself turn it on when you guys needed to? That was probably some of the most strategic team play, and I don't know necessarily if that was all strategy or how it played out or a combination, but you guys just executed to a higher level than I think I have seen as far as a team goes. I mean, you guys were, everyone just about was up there fighting for the win. I didn't know which one of you guys were going to win, but I knew one of you were going to, and then here you are coming out of the woods. Where did Chris Davis come from? And here you are in third. Walk me through your race. How did the car start off? And then how were you able to maximize the performance there late in this race and come across the line third?
Yeah, I mean, the race actually started off pretty rocky for me. I got 51 seconds of damage, and it just got the car so loose I couldn't drive it. So stage one, I had to play some pit strategy. I think I ended up fifth in stage one, dropped to the back. And that was just kind of save tire. Went really long in that stage two to have a tire advantage, caution come out. Luckily, I was able to, drive up, take the win in stage two, and then stage three was just pray nothing bad happened. But, Beast Mode, gotta thank them because before tonight, we had some tornadoes in my area all this week, so I'd been without power. And so I actually had not turned a single lap until the race started. And, I relied on all my teammates, Sean Rogers, Jeff Carson, Cox, my brother Shane Davis, Tony, all those guys for the information that I needed, and while the car was fast, so was able to drive up there. I don't know quite how it worked out that we were all three right there, but when Cox took the lead, I seen Tony jump to his outside. Of course, I got to push my teammate, so pushed him, just told him to hold on in turn one, and he flat-footed it. Got in front of Sean Anderson, which I got to say a big thanks to him for racing clean, and I kind of used him up there coming to the line, but I needed that third place.
Hey, you know what? A lot of class from you shouting out the new guy coming in, and he certainly has a lot to smile about, had a lot of speed. But, Chris, you were reading my mind there. Obviously, your area ravaged by a multi-day severe weather event that started in your neck of the woods or a little further west of you before it really got kicked off. A big-time tornado outbreak into the evening, overnight hours, and then right through yesterday into the Dixie Alley area. I know a place that I spent a lot of time, St. Roberts, Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, just barely escaped a direct hit from a tornado. First of all, how are you? Is everything, are your fans, or your friends, family, everyone doing all right?
Yeah, we got pretty lucky. The tornado, we had two of them come through our area, all within about 10 miles of my house. So all the friends, family, they got through unscathed. Unfortunately, a lot of people lost their homes. So prayers out to them. I think we have a total of like 19 deaths in Missouri right now. So prayers to everybody affected by those tornadoes and storms throughout all the states. So, but we're doing good. We got the power back on today about 1 o'clock after 2 or 3 days without it. And like I said, I mean, this is a big morale booster to come out and be able to finish third.
It looked like something out of a movie, and I know it wasn't scripted, but it looked like it at times, what you guys were doing out there. And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, out of adversity. A tough couple of hours or past couple days for the state of Missouri. Chris, of course, beast mode at heart, no practice, no problem. He's going to come home to a solid third-place finish, kick the Trisket. No one drives like the biscuit. That's Chris Davis. Thanks for joining me up here in the booth, buddy.
Appreciate it, Matt.
As always, to put you back down in the broadcast waiting room. And that is Chris Davis. And I also want to lead or use that as a lead-in to say, to all of you guys that are watching here tonight that were impacted by that severe weather over the past couple days, thoughts and prayers go out to all of you guys, wishing you all a speedy recovery. And I know better things are ahead in the future for you guys. You can always rebuild, but you cannot replace a life. And that's the one thing you got to remember at the end of the day, is that's going to round out our top 3 interviews. I want to thank all of them for joining me up here in the booth. Taking a look here from Tyler Hunter, hanging out in the waiting room. Let's see if we can call him up. Tyler, if you're still there, sure, we can pull you up here, buddy. Make a quick change here, folks, as Tyler Hunter wants an opportunity to come up here in the booth. We'll give him one if we can get a hold of him. There's Tane Hodison looking for Tyler Hunter. Sorry to see your message sooner. I have streamer mode enabled, so those notifications I don't get until I disable it. So I apologize for that. But let's take one more quick scan through the Discord. See if we can find Tyler Hunter. Tyler, I'll tell you what, I'll come back to you next week. Before we go green next week, I'll pull you up here in the booth and we'll chat about your race this evening. Right here on Redline Racing Network. As you heard from the top 3 in all beast mode podium to close out Las Vegas, ultimately, Matty Cox, the Magic Man, getting the win here tonight. Chris Davis coming home third, Tony Meiring in second. Sean Anderson up 31 positions is going to come home in that 4th place position. Gavaja Holt's going to keep on rolling, baby, out of Waynesboro with a 5th place finish. Dylan Banks, your pole sitter, was looking to go 2 for 2 tonight, still has a great end result and comes home in that 6th place position. Tane Hodison, the man with the fast lap, your road course winner, comes home 7th. The Dead Slayer man, Paul Hill, is going to round out your top 8 from Jacksonville, Florida. Keith Log, John Wilco is going to be your top 10. Eric Popino, Larry Miles, Steve Herring, Diego Rodriguez are the top 15. Jeremy had shades of Miller time here tonight, but ultimately, contact on the racetrack is not going to give him the finish he deserves, but Jeremy Miller looked to be back, and that's something to keep an eye on here into the future as he comes home in that 16th place position. The head cook, chief, and bottle washer, Chris Claude, is going to come across that line in 17th place. Not a bad night for him. Logan Giesbrecht, who joined me up in the booth last week, going to come home with the top 20 and 18th. Tanner Marty going to round out your top 19 as Richard Pruitt rounds out the first 20 positions out there on the racetrack. Dodd Miller, Michael Witt, Andrew Deaver, Matt Gaskins, that's your top 25. Bad Chad Center, Shane Davis. Another storyline potentially there, as well as he was out there leading laps up front in contention, in it to win it, until disaster struck in his first SNN Cup Series start. 28th position on the scoring pylon, however, that was not indicative of his performance out there on the racetrack. He was certainly quick. Tyler Hunter, 29th, and Dalton Mobley is going to round out your top 30. Jeff Carson, Ryan Samuelson, Matt Mackin, Rob Besaw, and Ron Fitting. That's your top 35. Bennett Allen, Brian Tarnowski. No one thrills like Darren Mills in 38th. Sean Rogers joining me up here in the booth, making his first ever broadcast appearance in 39th. And Alex Princeton rounds out the 40 drivers that took the initial green flag tonight. Unfortunately, folks, it has come to that time of the broadcast where all good things must come to an end. Got to thank our strategic alliance partners, Team Watson Racing Setups. You want to put some new boogie under the hoodie, be part of a family that is all about and driven to see you succeed out there on the racetrack. Get with Watson. Tell them Redline Racing Network sent you, the official setup shop here on Redline Racing Network. And if you want to put some new vibe in your ride, get out of the static, go see the guys at Black Magic for all things custom paints design related. And as the late great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Redline.